Z 2018-1295 of Joanne Morris, requesting permission to work in an upland review in the wetlands area to upgrade existing driveway for residential single-family home, septic system, and minor grading on property located at Black Hill Road, Central Village, map 2, block 79, lot 18.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Paul Archer with Archer Surveying, representing the Morrises. We were here last week before and gave you a little brief explanation of Black Hill Road. There's an existing driveway already in place there. I would say probably half of it is already bid sealed. The rest of it is not. It's just a gravel driveway coming down, opening it up into the 16 acres. What we're proposing, we went out and had Joseph Thoreau went out there, flagged all the wetlands, and it was, as we had expected, there's a wetlands that runs down both sides of the driveways. Then down into this area, it cuts across and comes down. Sitting down with Lou Sawyer, we went ahead and we pushed the house up to as far up into the corner as we can, keeping it away from the wetlands as best that we can. And we're going to propose that on basically the east side of the driveway as it comes down, there's already one existing 12-inch pipe that comes across the driveway already now. We're going to propose another one down a little bit farther, which is going to take most of the water that comes down on the east side, and it's going to push it across over to the west side away from the house. We're also proposing a small grass swale that's going to pick up a lot of the water on the side of the driveways, that's going to filter it into the pipe and push it out. Very simple. The soils that we did for the septic system came out awesome. It's a non-engineered septic system, so it's 100% into grade. And that's pretty much it. We're just looking to put a single-family residential home on there. We're going to put underground electric, which is going to go on the side of the driveway as it goes down. And we're doing the best we can. You know, it is pretty extensive on wetlands, what it's there, but I think we're doing the best we can in keeping the disturbance to the wetlands down.
Paul didn't mention to you that this is the only means of access into the property.
Yep. Is there anybody here for this project? Anybody to speak on?
I just had, my parents have adjoining properties, so I just wanted to get it.
Which piece?
Not there, it's in the back, it's off a corner.
Anybody else here for this project? If not, we close the public hearing.
Okay, any questions?
What's that? Anybody have any questions? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Make a motion.
Make a motion to close public hearing for 2018-1295. A second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The next item. Z 2018-1305 of Raphael, Anna, Diane, and Ernest Zara, requesting permission to work in an upland review in wetlands areas for proposed house, well and septic system, and proposed draining improvements on existing pipe outlets on property located on Spalding Road, map 26, block 11, lots 2 and 2A.
You're a second, yeah, this is pretty nice.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Craig Blog, licensed land surveyor with Plainfield Engineering Associates. I represent family members of the Zaras for tonight's application. I do want to submit for the record the notice of the public hearing, which we mail in receipts. This is a property that is located on the westerly side of Spalding Road. It's about 2,000 feet north of where Spalding Road intersects with Cape Downing Road. The Zahras own several parcels there on both sides of the road. We were before the commission back in 2007, and we had this approved back then. At that time, they had done a free split and divided off this 2.45 acre parcel, which is known as parcel 2A now on the land records. At that time, they had a son that was going to build on that lot. So we had gotten all the approvals for that. Times have changed. He never did build on it. Has no interest of locating here. They're from the other end of the state, and they're looking to sell this parcel now. So to do that, they hadn't realized that their wetlands permit had expired after 5 years. So again, we're coming back to you now with the exact same application that was approved by a public hearing and in that time frame of 2007. The property has a couple of cross culverts that go under Spalding Road. They're taking stormwater from the road, and they're also taking wetlands that drain from across the street, and they channel them on their property. And what we're seeking, part of the application that we're seeking for the permit, is the relocation of the water courses that are associated with that. And there's 3 water courses. One of them is this comma-shaped one here by drainage outlet number 1, and then there's an associated elongated water course to the west of that that goes into the woods. The other water course is elongated from Spalding Road at outlet number 2 and heads to the west. At the back of the property, there's a much larger wetland system. These wetlands were delineated by Joseph Thoreau back in 2007, and he rechecked them this year to make sure there were no significant changes for this application. What our proposal was is, in addition to the house well and septic that would be on the free split, we were proposing to relocate that, and that's the best word to describe it, relocate those drainage ditches, which are also classified as a water course. We're going to locate them closer to the property line and create a drainage swale that would form into a level spreader at the end with modified riprap. That would eliminate this and this, those 2 water courses over there. And again, those are just areas that are with scouring. They have, it's associated with the drainage that's coming on there. And then the other one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to more channelize it. And that's for future development, just to say that we have, decent areas. Because right now what's happening is they just get blocked up with leaves. They're never cleaned out. If we do a more defined ditch, it'll last longer. And these will probably turn into a similar water course, but won't be in the middle of the property or real close to the development that we're proposing. I do have Joe's report, which I will submit, which again is dated from back in 2007. I'm trying to submit the same evidence that we did back then. And he basically says that the purpose of this report was to describe the condition, functions, and values of the wetlands and intermittent water courses on the site. He describes the different types of wetlands that we have out there. We have a palustrian forested wetland that's located in the center part, and that's the big major wetlands that we're trying not to have any impacts on. And then there were smaller pockets and a couple of isolated intermittent water courses, and that's what we're talking about, these 3 water courses that he has here. And he describes those. I'm going to jump to his section where he just talks about what his impacts to those wetlands or the water courses are going to be. Basically, he says in his comment section on page 8 that since most of the construction is proposed to occur outside the 100-foot upland review area, I see no direct impacts to the wetlands. And that's to the major wetlands that are at the back of our property or in the middle of our larger portion of the property. He sees no direct impacts and their functions concerning the construction of residence, garage, septic system, or driveway, provided that E&S measures are implemented and maintained. And we do show a line of silt fence that would be at the back end of all these areas, or the downhill end of things, kind of where you would commonly expect to see them, and those are placed there. He says that the project calls for the filling of 4,160 square feet of existing water courses, and those are those 3 areas that I indicated. They are to be filled, loamed, and seeded. New drainage swales will be constructed and modified riprap plunge pools at the road culvert, grass-lined, and modified riprap section of the riprap level spreaders located at the end of the swales. Proposed erosion and sedimentation control features consist of continuous silt fence to be installed below. And his comments with these fillings that we're proposing is that he sees no direct impact to the wetlands or their functions due to the filling of the intermittent watercourses, provided again that E&S measures are maintained throughout the construction process. Although some work will be within the 100-foot upland review areas, the slopes are relatively flat and the chance of sedimentation will be minimal. The existing watercourses do not exhibit any typical wetland or watercourse function values, and they serve no purpose other than to transport stormwater to the wetlands. So his conclusion is that the design of the project implements many features intended to minimize and eliminate potential impacts that the stormwater would have to transport nutrients and significant loss of wetlands and upland habitat associated with the construction activities for future encroachment into the wetlands and review areas. He believes the ecology of the wetlands and the property were taken into consideration and incorporated into the design. It is his professional opinion that the efforts and design features on this plan and the site characteristics in the permeable soils that the site, without any significant impact, the development of the site would not result in any significant impact to the wetlands property. So again, that's the proposed residence on the free split lot that we created some 9 years ago, and the relocation of essentially two, these just aren't connected in the middle, but filling of 3 water courses and relocating them, recreating them off to an area where they will be better suited. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them for the commission, from the commission.
Does anybody in the audience have anything to say on this project?
Where would the relocation happen?
On the plan, if I turn this and show this to you, basically we have one, this is the outlet pipe that goes under the road now, and there's one comma, created water course here, and then it picks up again here. We would just be relocating that adjacent to the property line, some 20 or 30 feet away. The other one, the same thing, it's here, we're gonna move it here. That way, if there's any future development on the site, it's not right in the middle of the future developable area.
Where at 72 Red Oak, where in reference on that map is that?
Red Oak, you're gonna be 4,000 feet that way to the west, so you're far away, yep.
All right.
Yeah, Red Oak is on the map here. Our activity's way over here, so Red Oak Drive is here. You just, an abutter in the back of their property, they have a large property that goes way back.
Yep.
So this is all along the road.
Okay.
Where's the roadway that's existing there now?
This is existing Spalding Road. right
No,
here.
not Spalding
No,
Road.
the
There's a-
roadway going down to the cemeteries.
Oh, that is actually probably about 400 feet or so on their other property that they have. They have like 3 pieces on this side and 1 piece across the street. So this is not taking place near that roadway, but yeah, there's it's further down, there's an old barway that crosses the wetlands to get to the backfields.
That's what I'm talking about, the barway.
Yeah, that's a little further to the south of us here where we are.
Anybody else have any other questions?
Wait, I'm sorry. Where are you proposing to build houses, I guess?
It's in there, that bar, they own the next part, so I'm gonna show you on the location map. They actually own the next piece of land here, so that barway that we're talking about is over
Right.
here. Just in the very, we would call that the northeast corner of their property, they've proposed 1 house. And that's all we're looking, it's a lot of record already that was split off in 2007, it's 2.5 acres. So it's right on the road. Here's Spalding Road, and it's the very corner of their property that they'd be looking to propose 1 house lot.
Anybody else? Commission have any other questions?
Yeah, we have, nothing has been changed from 2007.
2007.
That's correct.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing.
Motion to close the 2018-1305.
Motion seconded. All.
Second.
Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Public hearing is closed. Our next item, Z 2018-1308 of Dolly Colello Development LLC, requesting permission to work in an upland review of inland wetlands area for an 11-lot subdivision of property located on Moosa Pond Road and Smith Road, Moosa, map 1MP, lot 115F.
Okay, good evening. For the record, again, Greg Law, licensed land surveyor with Tilling the Engineering. I represent Dolly Colello Development LLC for the proposed application in front of you, and I would submit for the record the notices and the mail receipts. And at this time, I'm also going to submit for the record a letter from the Northeast District Department of Health regarding the proposed subdivision. Although we don't have on-site septic systems, we have on-site wells. So this is an approval letter dated March 21st, 2018, approving the location of those wells. I'll give a brief description of the project. They have 12.1 acres of land. As you stated, it's located at the corners of Smith Road. I'd like to turn this in case anybody wants to see it, but
Do we have any additional copies?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'll put it there.
actually I actually have revised one. So I have revised copies of the subdivision that are revised to today's date. So 12.1 acres located at the corners of Smith Road, Moosa Pond Road, and adjacent to Warner Road. We're basically the southwest corner of Moosa Pond. There is an existing house, pool, and garage that are located presently in the middle of the property. What we're looking for is the development of 11 lots. We have 3 lots that have frontage on Smith Road. The remaining lots have frontage along Moosa Pond Road. Only 5 of the lots will have frontage along Moosa Pond. And those are lots 1, 2, 9, 10, and 11. As I explained, we are going to be tying into the force main or the sewer line that goes around Moosa Pond. All of that will be done with ejector pumps coming over to Moosa Pond, then going down Moosa Pond Road and just a few hundred feet tying in over there. I've highlighted up the wetlands, the 100-foot review area, and that's this pink line that I've got outlined here. So what the applicant is seeking application for or a permit for are basically 2 items. Obviously, we're doing the subdivision, but the only areas that are in the upland review area are a little bit of grading and clearing associated with lot number 1, the house on lot number 1. And then we are proposing some small beach areas to be created for those lots that have frontage on Moosa Pond. So those are the items that we are seeking an applicant, or seeking approval from. And what that will result in is, again, over here, we're just doing a little bit of grading inside the upland. I'm going to describe the wetlands too. All the wetlands on the property are just associated with the shoreline of Moosa Pond. And there's also a low-lying area just upland on lot number 1 that is a low-lying wetland at the toe of the slope. Those are the wetlands that are associated with the project. And With the beaches, we will be filling a combined, or disturbing a combined 2,500 square feet of wetlands. So that is part of the application that's in front of you. I'm going to describe lot number 1 first. We have the grading. We are going to have silt fence at the toe of that slope, and at the recommendation of Joseph Thoreau, we're going to back that with hay bales as well to avoid any erosion going down into the site. The other activities that we're proposing are the beach areas. We tried to look at those different ways. I looked at around Moosa Pond, and we looked at what other people have done historically around Moosa Pond. And the majority of lots out there, they either have their entire frontage or most of their frontage is either lawn or beach. There are some that have trees and woods still there. We were trying not to do that. We're trying to keep in tune with keeping some of the shoreline intact here. So what we have proposed for these are, we have a 20 by 30 beach area. So it would be 30 feet wide along the water and a depth of 20 feet back. An area where we would create some beach, a little bit of lawn. We've shown, maybe a little beach house down there, a little 10 by 10 cabana or something like that. The way we're proposing it, we're trying not to clear cut everything. This main area is already an opening from the existing house. They have a beachhead. We would be doing a little bit of clearing on lots 10 and 11 to get down there. On these, they're a little bit further away. We don't want to just clear cut all into the wetlands, so we're trying to propose access paths that would be used to access down there, just to walk through the woods to get to your beach area. I've talked with the developer today, and we put together a development plan of how these would be constructed, so that they're kind of done at the same time, and they're not just, too much going on at one time, or everybody would be their own way, and access would be an issue getting down here to create these. So the developer has spoken to me about, they would develop these beachheads as part of their subdivision. And we have a description of the sequence for them to come down and access all of these, going through the area that's already cleared down to the beach area, which is along lot 9. We have put a note on the plan basically saying that any changes to the beach areas along Moosa Pond by individuals at a later date when they buy these, they would require additional approvals from the Plainfield and the Wetlands Commission. And then I've also got a note in there to see the beach construction sequence that's on sheet number 6. And I do want to read that in for the record, because I think it's important. So the construction sequence for the beach area shown are 20 feet by 30 feet. I've got that same note in here about no beach area being modified in the future without approval from the Plainfield and the Wetlands Commission. All beach areas shall be constructed at one time by the developer to keep wetlands impacts to a minimum. We wrote that the limits of clearing would first be marked by a licensed land surveyor prior to any activity associated with the construction. Then silt fence and stake hay bales would be installed along the clearing limits, which are the sides, and then adjacent to the high water edge of Moosa Pond. And those are shown on the site plans where that silt fence would be placed. Access to the edge of Moosa Pond for beach area construction shall be by the non-forested area located within lot 9 on the plans. Work shall proceed laterally along the shore to lots 1, 2, 10, and 11. Trees will be cut and within the flagged beach area, or the flagged limits, and removed from the site. Branches may be chipped and organics from the beach area, and remove stumps from the organics of the beach area footprints. Compact subsoil and install sand in the beach areas. Sand shall be stockpiled away from the pond edge and transported to the beach area. Sand shall not be placed beyond the high water limit. All work shall be constructed with a rubber tracked equipment to minimize any excessive ground disturbance and the transport of sediment. silt fencing or staked hay bales shall be left in place and maintained until the beach areas have been stabilized. Dock installations will be by the individual property owners and constructed by installation of pylons in the pond bottom or shall be footing design. Town staff shall review proposed dock designs prior to issue of building permits. And at the completion of the beach construction, all travel paths that were used to access utilized by the equipment for the access to the beach areas shall be restored by minor regrading and applying grass and seed and mulch. That's if they get disturbed from running over them a bit. We tried to put together something that would be friendly and would minimize, the clearing of the area of the beach. And really, that's kind of what we have. Again, it's an 11-lot subdivision. Again, most of the activity is outside of the area or outside of the review area. But I would gladly turn it over to you to see if you have any comments for me at this time.
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak or here to see what's going on?
Are these all on the pond? Or is this, the pond is right there?
This is the pond, the blue area. 4 of them have access to the pond. The remaining lots do not.
I'm just curious if the pond is big enough to have all that activity added to it. Now, you're gonna have people, they're gonna have rights to the pond and they're gonna start using it.
Just the 4 people and restricted to
Just
the
the 4
area, the
people
dimension
that
that we
have
stated.
homes.
Correct.
It seems like a small pond. That's the only reason I asked.
5 of the lots, yeah. And I actually looked at some of the specifics because I thought this question might come up. I looked at some of the specifics around Moosa Pond, and I have an overview of Moosa Pond.
Yes.
And so these are all the lots around it. I think Moosa Pond is about 100 acres in size. We're in this corner over here, that's our development lots. I kind of looked at the size of the frontage of all the lots, and what I came up with is the average lot frontage on Moosa Pond is 90 feet. Our subdivision is proposing 125 for the average lot frontage. So we looked at having more access there, but the developers really didn't want to do that. They wanted to kind of go in a different direction and not have every lot have the access in smaller areas and more people on top of each other. And we also talked about ways to minimize impacts to the wetlands and to the existing canopy of trees that are along there. So this was the decision that was made for the design. Go back to the subdivision map. We are in an RA30 zone, so we have some along here that are of minimum size. There are 3/4 of an acre to some that are 2 acres, 1.4, 1 acre, 0.9 acres. The smaller ones are up along the road where was more favorable for design. As you go towards the pond, it's a little steeper and stuff like that. So and they have more elongated to get their access right, so they're a little bit larger.
And these are all going to tie into the sewer system?
Yes, it's required by the zone we're in.
I'm the last one on the end of that line, on the end of the line now, 476 Moosa Pond Road. I have a question. Once that line is extended, the people that have addresses are bound to hook up, am I correct?
They are not.
They are not.
That's correct.
Now, if they choose to hook up, will the developer pick up the cost of those hookups?
Okay, if I have it right, whenever anybody ties into a sewer line, within the first 10 years of installation by a private developer, normally the town would get $3,000, a $2,500 connection fee and a $500 impact fee. In the case where a developer puts that line in, the developer would get the $2,500 connection fee and the town would get the $500 impact fee.
Correct.
They will still have to pay users fees.
One at a time.
One at a time,
Oh,
please.
excuse me, I thought you were done, I'm sorry.
And we're supposed to get your names and addresses before you speak for the record too. Can we do that?
Yeah, Charles Malcoon, 476 Moosa Pond Road.
Thanks, Charlie.
And being on the end of the line, I have that concern by neighbors who one of my neighbors spent a lot of money on an engineered system up above me. Now they may be required to.
They will not be required to
Okay,
connect.
that's what I was.
The only reason anybody would be required to connect is if their septic system failed
Okay,
and the public sewer is available, then they'd be required to connect. Or if they want to.
okay, same thing on Smith Road, is there a sewer line there now, or is there?
There is,
There is, so they're already hooked.
they are.
Oh, okay. So the reason the extension to 11 lots by buying that lot on Smith Road was to cut the cost of putting the city sewage in?
We had frontage on Smith Road already, so wouldn't have mattered either way.
Well, this plan isn't showing a connection to Smith Road.
Right,
It's
we're
only
going
showing a
down
connection
Moosa Pond.
to Moosa Pond Road.
Okay.
My name's Jack Dowland, I live on the backside of Moosa Pond on View Road. You say there's a sewer on Smith Road already?
Sewer line.
No.
Yeah, there's a manhole right here, we have it located, and I think Luke can verify.
Yeah, there are.
It's on Pond Hill Road,
There's one on Smith Road too, and it ties into Pond Hill Road.
and the rest of it was supposed to be developed on Part 2 of the Moosa Pond Road sewer system.
I don't understand what you're,
When they put Moosa Pond sewer system in,
yes,
right? I believe it was 98, I don't
2002.
2002, okay? On the future development on Part 2 of that, it was supposed to go around Smith Road.
Smith Road was connected in the initial phase. All of Smith Road.
Not to my understanding.
I was part of the project. It was connected in the first phase.
Were you the guy when Mike Camplin moved it?
I don't have any camera.
Somebody did when they was under construction without my consent. That's here to there, right?
That's right.
Right, okay. But no, I will say that the system that we have on the backside of Moosa Pond, on Pond Hill and Pond View Road, there's 123 of us, and the town has served it well. Now, will these people have the same thing
No.
as their pump?
The first part of it, if you were tied into the sewer system when the project was going on, the town assumed all the costs for that. You paid nothing.
No.
This is not like that.
That's
The
not like
project
that.
is over. They were not part of the initial project. All the costs are going to be borne by the developer,
Oh,
not the town of Plainfield.
yeah. It's a good system. You know, I'll admit I was against it at first, but it's good.
I have one more question. Being at the bottom of the hill, wells are gonna be dug on these properties. Say my well goes dry, what are my recourse at that point in time? Because I'm at a low point. They're digging above me. Suppose that water's coming downhill into my drilled well.
I don't know enough about wells to answer your question. Maybe Greg can.
Not really a wetland-related item, but I can't imagine that it's going to be an issue with the aquifer that you have in front of you of the,
If it's coming from the lake,
if
yeah.
it's coming from the lake. I can't imagine that that would be an issue. So-
It still didn't answer my question.
Well, I think it would
Would
probably
it
be
be-
better served for when we go to planning and zoning, and I certainly would be glad to address it at planning and zoning or have the engineer address it.
Okay.
I just think at this level, I'm not prepared to answer it, and I don't think it impacts wetlands either way.
It does not,
But I would be glad to at planning and zoning.
The Planning and Zoning Commission will also be having a public hearing on this application.
I'm just covering my bases now.
Okay, if we have no other questions? Do we have any questions?
Oh, I have a couple of
Okay,
questions.
go ahead.
Did you address everything that Joe was reading?
You know, I just noticed that I kind of skipped over a little bit of that, but yes, I did. We did add, I think one of Joe's comments was to add hay bales below.
Joe had a number of comments with the lots that were gonna have beach areas on them.
Yes.
Those addressed on the revised plan. This is the first time I've seen the revised plan.
Right, what were the specific comments that Joe had, if you would, that way I can be sure we go over them with the commission.
All right, in the areas, all existing wetland functions will be completely lost due to disturbance and filling. Adjacent wetlands will be significantly impacted due to the removal of adjacent vegetation, overstory, and adjacent rubbing, filling, and intrusion. The wetland values of the educational, scientific, and uniqueness, heritage, and visual aesthetic will be impacted due to the development of the beach areas. Then he goes on to say that we will need some more E&S measures.
Right, those have been added.
So, can you address what his first comment was?
Yes,
That's
that
on
would
page
be-
4.
That was on page 4? Direct wetlands to the impact that the beach area is very sizable. I think he goes on to say that the total disturbance is 2,500. Disturbance in the wetlands function will be lost. Those are the areas you just read, 1, 2, 3, and 4. He just says that clean sand should be specified for the construction. I know he talks about any future improvements would need to go back to the Wetlands Commission. We did add that to it. He talks about the E&S going around the side. That was added as well today on today's plans, and that's also put into our schedule of construction for the beach area. And he talks about the potential impacts from Lot 1. So I did address those comments on there. That was the reason we brought up the whole construction sequence thing, so that it would address his comments. I think he further goes on to say that his comments for the, trying to remember, we had it, I went the wrong copy, well, that's fine. But this was a copy that I brought actually to submit to the commission. We did have the directing, the wetland that we just talked about. He talks about the E&S measures. The measures will be adequate to defend the wetlands and Moosup Pond from potential sediment inputs, provided they are installed and maintained correctly. And that was after he suggested that we put them in several places, which, as I indicated, we did do that. But he asked for us to back up with hay bales, and we did do that. Potential input, I think he says that with Lot 1, which we talked about, that some of the area of the grading around the 100-foot upland review area, he says no direct disturbance is proposed within the wetlands or within 50 foot of edge of the wetlands, and fill is shown. And that's where he mentioned to provide some EMS. Potential impacts, he's got them all spelled out for different ones. No direct disturbance is proposed within 30 feet of the wetlands, as long as we're providing the ENS measures correctly and implementing them. He doesn't see significant impact to the wetlands. Yeah, we are disturbing those area of the wetlands. I will read his summary. For those beach areas, we are disturbing the areas of the wetlands as explained. With the exception of the direct impacts from the development of the beach areas, the design of the development implements many features intended to minimize or eliminate potential impacts of the wetlands and Moosup Pond, such as stormwater runoff, transport of nutrients, significant loss of wetland habitat, and erosion sedimentation control. Like I said, we try to keep the beach areas down. It's not uncommon for people who have beach lots to have larger frontages developed, fully lawn. We're not trying to do that. We're not trying to bring lawns and bring chemicals and introduce a lot of things to Moosup Pond, which probably go on around a large percentage of it. We're trying to do a better thought-out development in the area where we're keeping these areas small.
So there's going to be no work in the pond itself, no sand you put in?
No, as a matter of fact, we said it would be above the high water mark. It's in our sequence of operation.
Was any consideration given to mitigation for the wetlands you'll be disturbing?
We hadn't, but if that's something that the commission would like to see, we certainly could consider it. There's small slivers just along the edge of the.
I understand that, and I was just asking whether you did that. In general, from what I've seen in the past, it doesn't really work well, and I would suggest no. But I didn't know if you had anything.
Yeah, we hadn't done anything that was, other than hogging something out more along. And we see like, we would be thinking it would be disturbing more of the vegetative cover just to create it.
And it really doesn't work well or do anything good for the area, but I was just curious as to.
Yeah, we hadn't done it mostly because of the further impacts. Creating the wetlands, we'd have to excavate it out, remove the stumps, remove the trees, and that would kind of go defeat the purpose, I kind of think.
Okay, so anybody on the board have any other questions? Or not right at this point? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion that we close
close public hearing for Z 2018-1308.
For a second.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Public hearing is closed. Now we'll move on to our regular meeting. Roll call. To my left, Ralph Wells, Thomas Sinkowitz, Jeff Johnson, our new member, Joe Campbell. And I'm Ron Desjardins, Lou Sawyer, our town engineer, and Jody Minow, our recording secretary. We'll call the meeting to order. Our first item is review and act on the minutes of the meeting dated March 20th, 2018.
Meeting minutes be accepted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Okay, unfinished old business. Z 2018-1295 of Joanne Norris, requesting permission to work in an upland review and in the wetland area to upgrade existing driveway, residential single-family home septic system, well, and minor grading for property located on Black Hill Road, Central Village, map 2, block 79, lot 18.
What was the area of this? What was the area of this?
I think all the area disturbance was about 3,000.
Yeah, it's on the map. It's under the notes, in the note section.
3,800 square feet.
Can we see the maps?
Oh, sure.
It's just one?
Yeah, I only kept one, he has more of them back there.
And what did Joe Thoreau's report have to say?
Bob, you have Joe's report? I don't have it in my file. Well,
Yes.
okay.
What's the wetlands that was not delineated as requested down?
What we basically told them, anything that was more than 400 feet away from because we knew where to put the house here. So there was another quarter this wetlands came down this way farther and opened up down into here. And this one over here, there was more wetlands over this way. And we just said, anything that's more than 300 feet away from the area that we were doing, we asked them, you know.
You get disturbance going all the way out here, and this is
Well, as you can
80 feet.
Yep, and as you can see, this wetlands came here. This is the wetlands that was not reflected. This here comes back. This came down here and circled back up here,
Which one's the D series?
right here.
Okay. You said it was only about 150 to 200 feet further north of the D series.
Correct.
Right in this area here.
So this would come out, like I said, this is the series that was coming out this way. That was all the wetlands that were coming down from the farm that was here. And if you went out there, this is a very, very heavily vegetated and more bull briars than anything else out there. What's that?
Nice piece of property. Actually, the only disturbance to wetlands on this is where the driveway is that they're going to be improving. And they have no other place they can put it. They only have that 50-foot access strip going to the property. I have one in there, I just don't have it.
The driveway's already there, right?
Yes, but it does need improvement.
The upper part, we're gonna have to dig it up for the electrical, but the first part up to halfway up into here, this is all chip seal as it is there, and then this is just gravel. And basically, when Lou was out there, where this wetlands is here, is mainly caused by, there's a wheel rut that people drove into this, and that's what created the wetlands. It's just the water continually runs in the wheel rut that's there.
Okay. Any other discussion? Not, entertain a motion.
Make motion to approve Z 2018-95.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Yeah, I need one for me.
Okay, our next item. C 2018-1305 of Raphael, Anna, Diane, and her. Okay, continuation of Ernest Colello, Z 2018-1304, requesting permission to work in an upland review. Yep.
Lou, I don't know if you have the plans for that from last week.
I do, but they can probably put it
Okay, that's fine. Good evening, again for the record, Greg Law from Killing the Engineering Associates, representing Mr. Colello on the application. This is the former Bank of America building site. It's a half an acre located on Main Street, right across from Linnell Street. The building was torn down not too long ago. The existing pavement on the property exists. Our wetlands associated with this property are just the edge of the Moosup River. There's an 18-foot incline up to the pavement area. We're proposing to leave the pavement in place. They're just going to propose a saw cut around the proposed building. And I did draw on the 100-foot upland review areas. This little pink line, it didn't show up too well. So half of the building falls in that area. Again, we have curbing along here. Drainage comes this way and then off the site. We don't anticipate any problems in constructing this since most of the site is already hard surfaced and propose to keep that way. We're not trimming back any of the vegetation in the back. We're going to just basically install a fence around the perimeter of the property. There'll be a wrought iron fence up front. Some planters created and associated with the building. It's I believe a 3,020 square foot building. Proposed contractors, garage and office space is what's proposed for here. It's a pretty nice drawing of what he did for what it looks like. I know Wetlands doesn't typically look at it, but it's a pretty nice look. It's going to kind of look like an older building, something that will fit in nicely in the area. We do show some silt fence along the bottom, just in case something gets over the curbing. It's not anticipated, but we have shown that on the plans, and really that's all this is about. We're on-site or public water and sewer that will just be tying into with this building.
I can't see with this lot, any impact whatsoever on the road. But it is new commercial construction, I know you guys like to see this.
Do we have any questions for Greg? No, I'll take a motion.
I make a motion that we approve Z 2018-1304.
Got a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, our next item. Z 2018-1305 of Raphael, Anna, Diane, and Ernest Zara, requesting permission to work in an upland renewal area for proposed house, well, septic system, and proposed drainage improvements to existing pipe outlets on property located on Spalding Road, Plainfield, map 26, block 11, lots 2 and 2A.
This is exactly the same as the previous application that was approved, there are no changes to it.
No changes, I see those checks. Make a motion to approve Z 2018-1305.
I second.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you again.
Next item. Z 2018-1308 of Dolly and Colello Development LLC, requesting to work in an upland review area in the Wetlands area, lot 11 lot subdivision, on property located at Moose Pond Road, Smith Road, Moosup, map 1 MP, block 115F, lot 1A, 21 and 21A.
You saw the application, there'll be minimal disturbance to the wetlands and also minimal disturbance to the upland habitat. This is consistent with other applications that this commission has approved along Moosup Pond for beach areas that people have asked for.
Yeah, compared to a number of the other ones, these are relatively small beaches.
They are small.
Have been approved in the past.
Yes, I really see no problem with these.
Okay, if nobody has any other discussion, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to approve Z 2018-1308.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
New business. We don't have to force
Actually, we got this on the call, but we can just go through it. Right. Over the years, you've approved after various applications for washing materials. This is the one gravel bank that was approved on the, I guess, west side of Black Hill Road, between Black Hill Road and the river. All permits are good for 5 years, so the 5-year permit will be expiring, and they've asked for an extension. We've had no issues with that gravel. I would suggest it be approved.
You have to table this until next month, not for an extension?
Not for an extension, no. Only new application. So that would be an extension of permit 2013-0224.
I make a motion we approve Z 2018-1317.
I second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
I have one more issue under new business, and that,
Just question and clarification if I can interrupt.
oh, sure.
So essentially, if a permit expires, then...
Then they start from
Then
scratch.
they start from scratch. If they put in a request ahead of time.
It can be extended for a maximum of 14 years.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, and one more to add on to the agenda, that would be a Plainfield Cemetery Association. Their permit, it was a permit to, what they do basically is get the road sweepings from the town, and they use it to fill in some low areas at the cemetery on Cemetery Road. No wetlands are being filled in. Their permit was 2009-0278. And given the time that it was approved, the state played with their statutes a little bit, so their approval was good for 9 years rather than 5. And that will be expiring this year. They've also asked for a 5-year extension on that permit. I was out there today with Lindbergh from the association, and no wetlands have been touched. She showed me the area they're going to be putting material in, and they're up on top of the hill. So I would suggest that this be granted also.
What number was that?
IW 2009-0278.
Is there a new 2008 Z number?
No, we just put this in the file that was extended.
I make a motion that can be extended as well.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Citizens' participation. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say? Guess not. Correspondence.
We have copies of the habitat, so we'll pass those out.
Complaints?
Complaints to do with what we've been dealing with Central Auto Group on Pratt Road with their parking lot. I did issue a cease and desist order after the last meeting. Ryan told me that's what you wanted to do, so I did. And driving by there, they've gotten rid of all the used vehicles, the little new vehicles there. So that's a good thing.
It's not the first time they've cleaned up their act
You're right.
and then put the used vehicles back on there a few months later.
Yes, you're
It's not the first violation.
I agree. Maybe this time we won't do it anymore, who knows? But that's all there was for complaints.
Was there any follow-up? I think they indicated they were going to be coming in for a new application.
Ryan told me, I wasn't here last month, so Ryan told me that yes, they would be coming in, but nobody's contacted us about that yet. So I don't know. And I just have one thing under other. This is my last meeting, guys. Thursday is my last day of full-time work. I'm retired.
Really?
Yes.
Where's the tears?
Huh?
Where's the tears?
Not arguing, I'm happy. Not that I don't want to be here, of course, but it's going to be nice waking up in the morning and thinking to myself, there's nothing I have to do today.
How long do you think that's gonna last?
As long as I vote for a long
Oh,
time.
you'll get bored. I know.
And that's it.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Meeting adjourned.